Everything you've been told about tomb raiders is a lie. They didn't break down doors in secret. They had keys. The gold of the pharaohs wasn't stolen by random criminals. It was taken by those who swore to protect it. The greatest desecration in history wasn't a crime. It was a state program that textbooks refuse to talk about. In the next few minutes, we will uncover facts that historians prefer to whisper about. We will reconstruct the timeline of the biggest robbery in history, one sanctioned by law, and understand why King Tut's tomb isn't a miracle of salvation, but a bookkeeping error of the ancient world. But this is exactly where the familiar picture begins to crumble. The official story sounds convenient. We are told that at the end of the New Kingdom, a crisis hit. Starving peasants, driven by hunger, dug tunnels in the Valley of the Kings under the cover of night. They risked their lives, bypassed traps, and carried out treasures just to feed their families. We are painted a picture of chaos, where the state is powerless against a mob of looters. It's a classic story of the poor versus the rich dead. It's a tidy story, but it has a fatal flaw. Here a problem appears: physics. Pharaoh's sarcophagi weighed tons. The outer shrines were the size of a garage and plated with thick sheets of gold. It is impossible to carry this out through a narrow tunnel. It is impossible to do it quickly. To empty a tomb of Ramesses' level would require weeks of work, torches, and dozens of men making noise across the entire valley. You simply cannot hide an operation like that. And here is what's strange. Many open tombs found by archaeologists were not just looted, they were neatly resealed. The doors bore the seals of the necropolis, the seals of the high priests. Ask yourself, would a thief running with gold take the time to carefully close the door and stamp it with an official government seal? It's absurd. The logic of accidental robbery breaks down completely here. Further on, it gets worse. In the late 19th century, famous caches of royal mummies were found. Dozens of bodies of Egypt's greatest rulers were piled into one cave. The official explanation: pious priests saved the bodies of the pharaohs from robbers by re-hiding them. Sounds noble. But look at these mummies closely. They weren't just re-hidden, they were processed. The bandages were cut with surgical precision, exactly where the precious amulets lay beneath the wrappings. Gold masks, gone. Chest plates, removed. The priests saved the bodies but somehow forgot to save the kilograms of gold that were on them. The mummies were reburied in simple wooden coffins, often secondhand, with names scratched out. This doesn't look like a rescue. It looks like a professional cleanup. And this is the moment the puzzle snaps together. There are papyri documenting so-called inspections of tombs by officials. The reports state, tomb inspected, everything is in order. But we know that by that time, it was already empty. The officials weren't checking the safety of the king. They were taking an inventory of the leftovers. The opening of the tombs wasn't a chaotic act of vandalism. It was organized, calm work by crews under army supervision. Too many coincidences for ordinary chaos. It is time to call things by their names. This wasn't a robbery, it was a requisition. By the end of the 20th dynasty, Egypt's economy was dead. The gold mines had run dry. The country was fractured, a civil war was raging. The high priest Herihor and his generals needed funds to pay mercenaries. Tons of gold lay idle underground. The dead didn't need it, the living did. The priests of Amun declared an era of renaissance. A beautiful name for a gruesome process. Economic recovery at the expense of dead ancestors. Tomb opening became a routine bureaucratic procedure. Gold was melted into ingots. Cedar and oils were taken for resale. Bronze was sent to the forges. This completely changes our understanding of the period. The famous trials of tomb robbers, where the poor were tortured and executed, were theater. It was a smokescreen. While the crowd was entertained by the execution of a stonecutter who stole a few rings, state barges were shipping sarcophagi out of the royal necropolises on an industrial scale. The authorities created the illusion of fighting crime to monopolize the right to loot. The perfect crime is the one committed by the law itself. The system was devouring its own past to prolong its agony. The greatest pharaohs became nothing more than a resource base for their descendants, a deposit that was easier to mine than a rock quarry. They were stripped of their names, their protection, and the eternity they spent a lifetime building. Their bodies were dumped into common pits like waste rock. But one final uncomfortable question remains. Where did all that gold go? Even melted down, it should have left a trace in the economy. But Egypt collapsed anyway. Treasures accumulated over millennia evaporated in a couple of generations, failing to save the country from ruin. And the famous tomb of Tutankhamun survived not because of loyal subjects. It survived because the marauders in uniform forgot about it. The entrance was buried under construction debris, and a mistake was made in the asset seizure list. Tutankhamun is not a triumph of ancient protection. He is a bureaucratic oversight of those who were erasing history. And if the priests who spoke with the gods were ready to melt down their own fathers for one more year of power, are we sure that what we see in museums today is real history or just what we were allowed to see after the global inventory?